Not only can young people continue to realize their true athletic potential, but they can also pursue quality education at the same time. We have a perception in Hong Kong, in the Asian mentality, that it's unsustainable to pursue sports as a career.
可能佢哋自細就爹哋媽咪灌輸佢哋就係話喺香港踢波冇成就㗎啦，你讀好啲書入大學先啊。
We are here to change this mentality.
俾啲信心自己去做所有嘢，無論讀書好、踢波好，做人都應該有啲信心去做。
I sincerely hope that these young players understand that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and that many of them will be able to grasp this opportunity with both hands.
So out of the 140 kids here today, only 15 are going to get selected through to the next stage. So it's very, very competitive.
The pressure is on everyone because nowadays there are a lot of young talents.
I'm pretty nervous. I'm just trying my best to get the scholarship.
希望可以俾人揀中啦，所以可以去外國讀書。
The kids have a lot of pressure. They are told that academic study is above sport, so they should choose to study harder rather than play football.
我父母就有少少反對，因為覺得會對嘅學業有影響啦。
We need to change this perception that sport and education don't go together. For the kids to be able to have the opportunity to get a scholarship where they can do both, they are proving this wrong.
soon as they said Asia, we jumped onto it right away, and it's a great opportunity for any kid.
So I'm looking for guys with good technique, a lot of composure.
Basically, we're trying to find the best person and player possible, and we're trying to help them make it affordable to attend that school.
It would mean a lot knowing that doing the study, the football pays off eventually.
我覺得要平常心嘅，因為有時如果你太過着緊想表現自己，反而會適得其反咯。
佢入嚟讀大學之餘咧，我哋亦都可以啲 financial support 咧，令到佢可以兼顧體育啦同埋學業各方面嘅。I think I showed what I got. I was pretty strong on the ball. I worked hard off it as well. It's always good fun.
對手都好強，不過都踢到自己嘅，都係難啲嘅。不過都係一個挑戰咯，我覺得對我哋嚟講，即係對啲唔熟悉嘅球員睇下點樣同佢哋磨合咯。
I've seen some good things, probably a good handful of guys that could come into our team and help us out.
Very impressed with the skill level, with the technical awareness of the players.
It's been a good event in that perspective, high-level event, which is positive, makes us want to come back for sure.
Since 2014, we placed over 160 athletes.
My son was offered 9 placements. It's just been a fantastic journey for him. He's loved every minute of it. It's been a real eye-opener.
University coaches that are here today, I would like you to stand if you saw a student athlete today that you may be interested in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2020 Asia World Soccer Summit. My name is Magnus, and I have Constantine here. We'll be your host today.
Awesome. Thanks, Magnus. Obviously, for those of you who do not know us, Magnus and I were both NCAA Division I soccer players, and we've actually now helped hundreds of student athletes from Asia get recruited to the United States up until this time.
Yep, so the whole point today, the point of the summit today is to raise awareness about these sports scholarship pathways. There's actually thousands of opportunities out there, from the US, from Canada, UK, and even Philippines. Okay, so what we've done today is to bring together 3 renowned university coaches to give you insights and give you a personal sharing of what this pathway is.
We hope everybody's excited. As Magnus mentioned, quite a few coaches are going to be joining us today. And we'd also just like to thank our partners, Hong Kong Football Club, FC Bangkok, and also Manila Soccer Academy. It's also really important to note that these are the academies, especially in the areas that we do target in Asia, to give you competitive training opportunities to pursue either to one day hopefully go professionally, but if not, to pursue this pathway in terms of getting recruited for university sports.
Okay. So after the summit, after you guys learn more about these pathways, I'm sure you're going to want to know what level you're at, what level you can compete at, what kind of university you should target. Well, the good news is that we're going to offer a free student athlete assessment. Basically, we'll look at your grades, your highlight videos, your game videos, your coach's references, and then you can kind of assess your level to see, are you a U.S. University Division I player? Are you a Canadian University player? Can you play in the UK, US, Hong Kong? So that's the whole point of the assessment, is to give you better feedback of where you should target. And for those in Thailand, also I know this is going to be many different people watching today, but for those in Thailand, we're going to be offering a free assessment game in collaboration with FC Bangkok. So there, you guys can play. We assess your level from there. I also understand that there's going to be a lot of questions that you guys have asked, some really great questions that we actually may not be able to get to today, okay? But if we don't answer questions such as scholarships or even the questions about COVID, don't worry, we have our contact details below in the description where you can just reach out to us and ask further questions. Obviously, we can share the information on the coaches as well. You guys can also reach out to them as well. Okay, well, last but not least, I also want to remind you guys, please follow us on social media. All right, you have Sportsync, you have Hong Kong Football Club, FC Bangkok, and Manila Soccer Academy. Okay, so thank you guys, and I also want to welcome, I think we have a lot of people from Japan, a lot of people from Thailand, a lot of people from Hong Kong and the Philippines. So this is going to be a a good journey to listen to today. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Max. Yeah, so I think at this time, let's just introduce the coaches. So first, we've got Mike Mosher. Mike Mosher is the head coach at the University of British Columbia. Mike Mosher also has experience with the Canadian national team, the Olympic team. He's actually got a very good relationship with the Vancouver Whitecaps. Vancouver Whitecaps also have a facility on their campus. Mike, maybe you could just give a quick hello.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Second, we've got Devin Rensing. Devin is actually the head coach at California Institute of Technology, also known as Caltech out there. Devin has actually got quite an extensive coaching experience. He's also been coaching in the past at Harvard, Colgate, Northwestern, and a few other NCAA programs. Devin, maybe you say hello as well.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Devin. And last but not least, we've got Mike Toshak. Mike actually is the head coach at St. Lawrence University. St. Lawrence is an NCAA Division III school in upstate New York. Mike, with quite an extensive background as well in the professional game. MLS, he was actually the director of goalkeeping at the Vancouver Whitecaps. He's actually been at Toronto FC as well, along with Houston. Mike, maybe you could say hello as well.
Hi, glad to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, gentlemen. Once again, really important just to note, obviously, with this extensive coaching background, obviously in the professional game, links to the professional game. Obviously, a lot of players are trying to pursue that pathway one day, but I think more immediately, and the coaches will answer this today, that getting themselves to a university degree, getting them in that sort of professional training environment, and hopefully one day to become a professional is really the pathway everybody's trying to pursue, of course. So the first question actually out there, so just so everybody knows, we're going to be answering a combination of all live questions out there, but obviously with, I think we have hundreds of student athletes and families out there that are listening. We can't answer hundreds of questions. So it's basically a combination of questions that we think are most fitting. Those questions that aren't answered, we'll answer afterwards. So the first question is for Mike Mosher. Mike, in terms of the character traits, obviously the athletic traits of never mind North American student athletes, but those in Asia. I mean, Mike, for those of you who don't know, Mike Mosher, was actually in Asia. He came to China. He came to Thailand. He came to Hong Kong. He's actually seen the athletes live. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of the comparison between those that you've seen in Asia versus North American, of course, that you've even coached?
Sure. I mean, yeah, we've had our team at a pretty significant tournament. Recently, we were there a year ago in just outside of Hong Kong in China. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, just the video's running here. Yeah, like you guys have said, I've certainly got significant travel opportunities into Asia and seeing university players in China. We went into Hong Kong and Thailand last year and able to see some of the players. I think one of the challenges, for some of the players there versus like a North American player is sometimes just the overall competitive level and maybe the environment that one gets to train in on a regular basis. For many of the top players in my team, our best players come out of like the Whitecaps Academy, which is right on our campus. So Vancouver Whitecaps with MLS. And these kids are playing in a very good environment 5-6 days a week. They get top quality games. And even sort of the next level of player that we're attracting, they're training in a very good environment 4 days a week plus a game. And just that leads to their abilities, to deal with the overall speed of play, perhaps the physical demands. That would be something that I've witnessed in Asia that sometimes can be a bit of a challenge, versus perhaps the North American player. And I would say the same challenges exist for the North American player versus the European player. What are some of the positive traits that I've seen from some of the Asian players? Good technical ability, often very good technical ability. Again, but just need to be able to perform that at higher levels and at speed. And then, very, very coachable players, great attitudes, work hard, really positive attitudes would be some of the traits that I've learned from Asian players that I've seen.
Thanks for that feedback, Mike. Sorry, I think there's a little bit of a lag with some audio in the background. Maybe just give us a second to sort that out real quick. Just want to make sure, coaches, there's nothing going on in your background either, is there?
No, nothing on our background. Oh,
I've got it in my background. Like it's
Oh, I can
hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it as well.
That's good.
okay. Are we all, I think it should be fine now, right? Yeah, thanks for that, Coach Mike. Well, Coach Devin, you've obviously, like Constantine said, you've coached at different places, Harvard, Northwestern, Colgate, all different type of programs, Division I, now you're at a Division III program. What would you say is one of your greatest experience so far as a coach and actually working with some of these student athletes?
I think my greatest experience is just building relationships with all these student athletes from all the different universities. The background of soccer, the player that plays soccer is everything. And so that's a great quality for the game of soccer, actually. And soccer is the common language. So building a relationship with my players that I've coached in all those different places has been my best experience, and the thing that's given me the most joy in my professional life is those relationships that I've built with all my players, and just talking soccer and listening to them and their viewpoint on certain things. That's been my biggest, my greatest experience.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially for you guys get a new class every year, and then the older class, they graduate, and then having to continue to build these relationships, cultivate these relationships. When they graduate, I'm sure you guys still have that alumni group. I'm sure you guys have the alumni games where they come back and meet. But personally, at least for me, I think my first job that I got out of college was basically because of the student athlete alumni network that I had. So I'm sure, obviously, for you as well. I mean, this is the type of relationship that you guys get to build on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, within that relationship, there's a couple different things going on. It's during the course of your time together as a coach and student athlete. A lot of it's talking about soccer and school. And then after that, after the graduation, you still remain in contacts with them, and you're invited to weddings, and that's just really fulfilling as a coach to see them go on and accomplish things in the soccer sense, but then afterward go on to do great things and hopefully in professional soccer, but also in other aspects of their life. That's what coaching for me is kind of all about.
Maybe when you're watching the best economist in the world, it doesn't really.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. I love hearing these kind of stories.
Thanks for that, guys. Actually, I got a question for Mike Toshak here, actually. So just with your professional background, really just with MLS coaching, just really with that background, once again, just touching on the whole university, professional background, et cetera. I mean, obviously, I don't know if you've had any NCAA Division III players actually graduate pursuing sort of the professional route. I think you had mentioned to me once over the phone, maybe you had a player that went to Scandinavia and whatnot. So I'm not sure, just more specifically, obviously as a Division III school, perhaps there are some challenges. Maybe some are looking to graduate, obviously become professionals in the academic field. But have you actually helped any, pursue the professional route afterwards?
Yeah, we've been lucky here at St. Lawrence. We've had a player that had a good career in Major League Soccer. Greg Sutton, he played. Mike would know him, being part of the Canadian national setup. Mike Mosier, Greg, he was with Chicago Fire, was drafted by them, and played also with Montreal Impact, Toronto FC, and the New York Red Bulls, which was great. Also had a number of players at the USL level, with some decent clubs like the Rochester Rhinos at one time. Have gone on there. And we've also had some that have gone abroad and done all right as well at various levels in Germany and Belgium. And we had one kid that played at a good level in Tunisia as well. So we've been kind of lucky that way because we are a Division III school, but we have kids that have been at the Division I level or have had offers at the Division I level. And for whatever reason, it worked out to be able to come to St. Lawrence. And so we've been lucky in that regard. The one thing is you've alluded to it before, is you get that degree, you get that great education, you can put that in your back pocket, no one can take it from you. And then if you want to pursue your dream and go for it and go after it, if you're a good enough player and you're dedicated, then the opportunities are there.
That's pretty good. You mentioned all these great players. How do you guys recruit them, right? Obviously, it sounds like you've recruited a lot of local players, a lot of North American players. What about players in Asia? How do they get noticed?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I think first things first, you got to reach out via, with an email. It certainly helps when you've got contacts like Magnus and Constantine and through Sportsync, sort of an agency working on your behalf. But for most schools, ours certainly, a highlight tape is a start. But for me, I want to see game footage. If I can get half a game or a full game, and the greater the sample size, the better. Highlights will get you noticed. Gives us a little glimpse. But at the end of the day, we need to see a little bit more. What is the speed of the game? What's the overall quality of the game? Hopefully any player can throw together a highlight tape that catches a coach's attention. But we need to see a larger sample size of what's going on in a particular game, and hopefully a couple of games. So getting good quality game footage is very important to me.
Do you guys actually watch all the games though? If you got the full game, do you actually watch it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if a player is good enough, but that's what's going to tell the story, right? We can see a little clip here and there, and then okay, now we're interested. Now we got to see what else is going on within the rest of the game.
Do you think that affects you guys? So obviously we can record, digital technology right now, you can record a game with any kind of device. So with a phone camera versus, a proper game, video recording camera, does that make a difference for you guys?
Well, obviously the better the footage, it helps, but as long as it's a decent footage and hopefully it's at some element of elevation to give a bit better perspective. It's pretty tough when somebody's using a phone standing at field side with really no elevation. That's challenging to get much quality footage.
Yeah, so elevation is the key. What about you, Coach Devin?
Yeah, in terms of video is very important. For Caltech is an extremely selective school academically speaking. So I need to know a good background from an academic standpoint. That's the jumping off point for myself in the school. Because if you're not academically within range, then I'm going to be wasting my time, and I don't want to do that, pursuing someone who doesn't have a chance of getting in. So the first thing that I look at is on their emails is to see their academic background, the courses that they're taking, any test scores that they have, their TOEFL test score if you're from outside the United States, which obviously all of you are. Once I have an idea of that, then I'll dig into their video and look at games as well. Yes.
Yeah. And Coach Shoshak?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is, people that are tuned into something like this and a company like yourselves, Sportsync, is important because knowing the college process in the United States, it can be, there's so many schools, colleges and universities that it can seem daunting. So to have a connection like Sportsync is excellent because it helps you to navigate where you should be, what level you should get, where you should pursue, like what Coach Rensick said too about your academics. So that's going to put you into a category of schools as well. And it's very, very helpful. And then, of course, like both coaches just talked about, a highlight tape will catch the interest, but you're going to want to see full matches and full games to be able to assess where you're at and to be able to go from there. But being a part of an agency that knows the ins and outs and people that have been there and done that, I think for Asian players in particular, is important for you.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about the emails that you guys get, right? So I'm sure, how many emails do you guys get a day, from new recruits?
Tons from all over the world.
Yeah, I can imagine. So do you guys actually read them all? I'm sure you guys have to filter them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like Devin said, certainly we're similar in terms of our academics, and we get some that they're not well written. You just know that the person's not going to qualify academically, and yeah, we got to choose where to spend our time. But a well written email, well laid out, personalized. Okay, make it a little, tell us that you've spent a little bit of time and something about our school or about our program. Because we certainly get a lot of cut and paste emails too.
Yeah, those one size fits all that they just mass and send to everyone, right?
Oh yeah, we get emails, with the wrong coach's name and the wrong school.
No,
that's kind of a non-starter.
Yeah.
How effective do you think are ID camps and camps that you guys arrange? Coach Devin, for you guys?
ID camps, I mean, yes. Any chance that you get an opportunity to play in front of coaches is going to be beneficial. I think that the starting off point is, like all these coaches said, is an email, the introductory part of it, and then if you could follow it up with video, and then the next step in the process to see live, and that's whether that's playing in ID camps or tournaments, some sort of session like that. I mean, that's very important when it comes down to when all pieces fit. I think it's usually important for coaches to see live. It is for myself, especially but all those pieces have to fit kind of beforehand in terms of the academics and getting a good idea from film. And then the next step in the process would be seeing it play live.
Yeah. Actually, a question for all three of you guys. One of the viewers are asking, what are you guys looking for 2021? Your class of 2021. What kind of positions are you guys looking for? Can we start with you, Coach Devin?
Yes, I mean, Caltech is one of the most selective universities in the world, and I just was fortunate to get the job in March, and we haven't been super successful on the field. So to be honest, I'm looking for student athletes that could get in. Once I have those student athletes that could get in, then I try and mold the team. My class could be anywhere from 5 or 10, it doesn't matter. So getting into Caltech, and I don't have any say in that process, getting into Caltech is the first part of us being successful. And once we have those pieces and getting into Caltech, then I can kind of form a team. So if I have 5 right backs or 5 goalies or 5 forwards, I'm going to take them, and then, right back might have to play right center back or right winger, or maybe, so to be honest, getting into Caltech is the very most important thing in my process.
Yeah, got it. And Coach Mike Mosher.
As we look to 21, it's an odd year for sure. Like as we go, I'm sure it's the same for the other coaches on here in that we don't have a season. Right now we would be in season and so none of our student athletes are using up eligibility this year. So it'll be an odd year as we go into 21 and makes it a bit more challenging as we go there because we won't have as much turnover perhaps as in players. I know for my program, we're always looking for top players, top student athletes that fit, what we're looking for. Obviously, again, the academic piece is significant. I would say a center back is something that we would be looking for. Perhaps a top central midfield player and good attacking players. But overall in our group right now, we've got quite good depth. We had a larger recruiting class this past year. So we're pretty happy with what we've got, but probably, one player at each of the lines. Goalkeeper is an area that we're quite strong at this stage of the game.
Okay. And Coach Mike Toshak.
Yeah, it is a strange year with what's going on. And for us in particular, again, we're looking specifically, we want a center back that we're trying to bring in. Wide player would be nice to add to the team. We're going to add 4 players, maybe 5 tops this year to the team. So going to be very selective, but basically in those areas. But like the other coaches said, you're looking for a player more than anything. Yeah, there's specific positions and needs that you want to have, but you're looking for the best player available that's going to, like the other coaches said, fit the academic profile of your school. And St. Lawrence has a great academic reputation. So again, we're in those parameters of who can get into the school, and then that limits where you're at as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense in a way where, when you are trying to recruit players, you're trying to recruit someone maybe a bit more versatile that can, play different positions, that can excel in different positions. But ultimately, because as a coach, you guys have worked with so many different type of players. They might be playing, right wing all their life, but then you find that they're actually more effective as a right back, right? I think one of the key things that I've noticed, obviously playing Division I soccer, was the versatility piece, right? And then when players from Asia, when they come in, because it's so different that you train every day, sometimes 2 times a day, you have strength and conditioning. The physicality piece is so demanding, right? And I think one of the questions that the viewers are asking for you, Coach Mike Mosher, was how do you compare that physicality piece, amongst, say the players you've seen in Asia, the college piece, because you have played other, let's say NCAA programs, Canadian universities, and at the same time, you've done things with the Whitecaps in Vancouver, right? So how demanding do you think the physicality piece is, and how prepared should they be prior to coming into your program?
Yeah, I just want to backtrack just for one sec, something that you had said, Magnus, and some of the other coaches said. I mean, versatility is huge. When you're coming in as a first-year player, if you've got qualities as a player, and you may have been always a right winger or a central midfielder or whatever, I think what sometimes players forget, now you're in a bigger pool. You're not just playing with players in your own age. You're now playing with players, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 years older than you. And you need to be prepared to be flexible, be versatile, and play in other spots. Be adaptable, be coachable. Those are big qualities. If you want to get yourself on the field and start, making some sort of an impact, that's a big piece. Don't just say I'm a right winger and that's it. Because if that's the case, then you better be better than what we've got. Otherwise, you're not going to get as much playing time. So versatility and openness, adaptability is quite significant as you go into into a college level of play. In terms of the physicality aspect, yeah, I mean, whether it's the Canadian system where we play or NCAA 1, 2, 3, Division 1, 2, 3, there's definitely there's a challenge. Whether you're a player coming from Asia, whether you're a Canadian player, American player, the style of game overall is a relatively physical brand of soccer. Personally, I'm not scared of having smaller players. I mean, some of our best players over time have been some of the smallest players around. I mean, Mike Toshak, maybe you remember the boy Gagan Dosanjh, small Indian boy. I mean, he's like 5'6", but he was tough as nails. He was quick, and he could score goals. And he took a little bit of a physical beating, but he gave it back. I mean, he might have been a smaller guy, but he wasn't a pushover. And that's the thing. If you are, physically perhaps at a disadvantage, again, for me, I'm not afraid to take a chance on a smaller player. But what's just like any other player? What's your X factor? What makes you different? If you're a smaller player, are you really quick and are you really technical? And have you got some real bite to you? We've got a player in our group right now, and he's going into first year, and I think he's got Japanese heritage as well. And he's one of the smallest players in the group, and we've been training regularly for 6 weeks or so. And this boy is quick, and he doesn't back down from anybody, despite being one of the smaller guys. And to me, he's caught my eye because of that. Because he's got an X factor. He's got a toughness, and he's not going to back down. And he's a good player. He's good technically, of course. So,
I think Mike brings up a really good point about its mentality that can make the difference. If you're a player that's smaller, but you have that mentality and work rate and that competitiveness about you, that can overcome that. I know that in our situation at St. Lawrence, going back to the 90s, when I was here years ago with Bob DeRocher, that's how we got a lot of the players that were very technical, but were a bit smaller and were overlooked by some of the Division I schools, and that we would take and try and take advantage of the fact they're great technical players. But also the modern game now, I mean, versatility is huge. And with the rotation of positions and the movement, you have to be very versatile in today's game and be able to have a few things in your toolkit, be able to move around the pitch and be comfortable, and which is, I think, just the evolution of the game as well. But college soccer does tend to be very physical, but I think it's a mindset that can overcome that. And Mike gave a great example of a player who did just that.
Got it. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, gentlemen. I mean, it's always good. Seems like the college soccer game is still very similar, to what we've experienced. So, good.
Yeah. Just to touch on another question here, guys, in terms of distinguishing, your program from others, again and again, obviously, even just myself being in Thailand, China, Japan, all over the place, Hong Kong, of course, all of the players there are trying to really figure out, okay, well, what program would I even go to? Is it even just to stay in Hong Kong? Is it to obviously go to the US? Is it to go to Canada? Is it to go to this state? Is it to go to a warm climate? They just don't really know what's going on. So what would you say distinguishes your program, obviously for others, and I think, and making it unique, of course, and Mike Mosher, just going back to you first, obviously being the only Canadian school, on this online summit, of course, but, in Canada, University of British Columbia, obviously, just even me knowing from a glance, having Vancouver Whitecaps on campus, and perhaps, I don't know if any of the players, if they're good enough, could they even be looked at by the Whitecaps? Maybe you can kind of touch on uniqueness and perhaps a little bit more of that relationship, since we've mentioned it a few times already. Stay in Hong Kong, as it's obviously good.
Okay. I think there's a few things for my program that distinguishes us. I mean, I think first and foremost is the quality of education. The University of British Columbia is a world-renowned academic institution. We offer basically every program that a student would be looking for. It's a big school. We're almost 60,000 students, probably about 45,000 undergraduate students. The setting, I think the setting where we are. I mean, I think some of the video and some of the photographs, you see shots of our campus. Our campus is located sort of right out on the water, on the ocean, on a point, and it's pretty spectacular. I've been to a lot of university campuses around North America, and I would say, we're certainly up there in terms of the scenic beauty of a university campus. Our facilities are terrific. You see some of the facility shots there. I think our overall environment, we get a great marriage, so to speak, of the athletics and the soccer and a top quality education. I think we find a really good balance in what we do. I think that's a real top feature. Our overall development structure that we have in our program is very unique, and I think quite different to most programs in North America now. Certainly, I know in most programs in Canada. But one of the benefits of being in Canada is we've got greater flexibility in terms of our overall rules, structures, and whatnot. So we actually have like a second team, a third team, where a player can come in and be in the system and develop. But they're in teams where they're playing games, competitive games, week in, week out from the start of the school year. And thus, if you're good enough, you will progress through the ranks. And I think the last thing that I'll say is along the lines with that Whitecaps relationship. And I say this about any player: if you're good enough and you persevere and you work hard enough, you will get seen, you will get found. We do have the Vancouver Whitecaps are right on our campus. The academy teams train right here. We scrimmage against the academy teams. We scrimmage against the reserves. There's a shot of the facility there. We get to train on the facility once a week. Outside of the Whitecaps first team, our men's team, women's team are the only ones that get to train on that facility. So yeah, if a player is good enough, then of course we're going to recommend them to the Whitecaps to get looked at. You're right here in their backyard, just the same as their academy players are right in our backyard. But one of the other things that helps too within what we've got going on in Canada is we've got a new professional league called the Canadian Premier League. And our league, the U Sports, which is the university system, actually has a draft specifically into the Canadian Premier League. And players can actually do and play both. So we've got a couple of players who've been drafted into the league. They go and play in the league in the summertime, and then they come back to school in the middle of August once we kick into training camp. So again, it's sort of that best of both worlds. You don't have to completely commit to go down the professional path and compromise your academics and perhaps scholarships. So there's a lot of positives with our relationship, both our program and U Sports as a whole with that new league.
Definitely a lot of positives there, for sure. And I think just the one thing that I would touch on, I mean, obviously, UBC, University of British Columbia, of course, just the proximity. I know that I don't know what the actual percentages of Asian-based students on campus, but there's a lot of students in Asia that I'm not sure if they actually know, as you had mentioned, sort of that tiered system that you have between obviously the varsity, the B team, the U21 team, so sort of a developmental squad. So I think just to note for a lot of the athletes out there that probably don't know that up until today, that's just a significant piece as well. So thanks for that, Mike. Devin, obviously, going back to the academic piece, I think that already differentiates yourself. I think you guys are, Caltech is ranked 4th in the world academically, and I think that the academics definitely come first. And obviously pairing that with athletics, of course. But maybe you could just touch on the uniqueness of your program and obviously the institution, of course.
Yeah, Caltech is a world-renowned science and engineering school. I mean, our student athletes are going on working at Google and Facebook and all those other places, doing very, very well. So it's a smaller school. It's 900 undergraduates, so it's quite different. If you're looking for an intimate learning environment, that's what Caltech is. We do research at an undergraduate level that most students are doing at a graduate level at other places. That really distinguishes us from other universities. In terms of soccer, I've been fortunate just to be in. This is my first year. I've been on campus since March and haven't really even been on campus since COVID. But so I'm going to try and build something special. So we haven't had much success in the past, but the type of student athlete that plays soccer is like I said, can be high academic. So I'm really excited about the potential that our soccer program could have. So being a part of something special, building something is something that we want to start. Caltech's in Los Angeles. So if you like warm weather and the beach, like the Lakers, LAFC, that's Los Angeles Football Club and the Galaxy. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. The mountains, amazing facilities, both academic and athletic facilities. So it's a really special place. It's gorgeous here. The academics are incredible, and the opportunity to play, collegiate soccer while pursuing your degree is something special. And I think we certainly have best of both worlds.
Sorry, I just want to correct you there. It's LA Clippers.
Okay, it depends, but sure.
Yeah, I think definitely being in a metropolitan city, with the institutional piece, academic focus, obviously for internships, I'm sure that's a big focus for a lot of your athletes. On top of that, I'm sure you'll see that, as you mentioned, just transitioning into the program. So thanks for that, Devin. Last but not least, Mike Toshak, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it 2018 Liberty League champions?
Yeah, we had a conference championship team there. But I'll say one of the things unique, I think, or a real plus with St. Lawrence, you get your university degree and it looks great in a frame and everything and all that. But what's it going to do for me? And we're lucky. We've ranked 3rd in alumni engagement in the United States, and what that's led to is 94% of our student body have their job before they leave campus in the spring of their senior year. And that's been true of our guys as well. Pretty much all of my guys have their careers, their jobs set up that they walk into, which is fantastic. And I think we're still 3rd, maybe 4th. We're behind Cornell and I believe might be Yale in starting salaries out of a liberal arts university. So, they're important categories when you're choosing the school as well. And it makes us kind of unique. But from a sporting aspect, for a Division III school, and some of the pictures are up there that you can see of our facilities. They're really spacious. We have lots of land. Coming from the professional game, and I'd been at St. Lawrence before, so I knew I was going to come back to facilities, but I was still like I was working in the professional game. We're lucky we have 3 beautiful grass training pitches, as well as a turf training field, and a soccer-specific stadium that's just the women's team and the men's team. Again, all the facilities that you see are all donated money from alumni, which is huge at St. Lawrence. But the facilities, I think, are a real unique thing about our program, and that you can train at a really, really high level. We have everything there that we need. And we have a certain style of play that we've done since the 90s. I alluded before when we were talking about the physicality and size of players. Bob DeRocher, who's now our athletic director, was the head coach at the time, and I worked with him for 10 years. And we went down the road of going after technical players, and so we play as a game that's very much based in possession style soccer and moving the ball, keeping the ball, and that's sort of something that a philosophy that we've had since the early 90s and continues today. So obviously, we look for certain types of players that fit that mode. But it's a smaller school as well in upstate New York with the typical U.S. college town feel to it. You very much, everyone knows your name, your professors, courses, your classes are small, and you get to know everyone very, very quickly, which makes it sort of a different experience. So if you're someone that's looking for that, that's what we have.
Yeah. Obviously, just touching on the facility piece. Obviously, for those that have saw the grass field there, I mean, you guys must have one of the nicest fields in the conference. I don't know if that's true or not, but would you agree? Or
yeah, definitely. A lot's gone into it, and it's great because it's been a great recruiting piece for sure. Yeah. The grounds crew that we have here, they really take pride in the fact, not just the game field, stadium, but the training grounds too, to make sure that because as an athlete, you want to go to a place where you have those things. It's great to have great training fields to play on and all that. So it's a big piece in recruiting, and we've been really, really lucky. And again, it's that alumni and soccer alumni that have really put a lot into our program to get those facilities.
Sure. Yeah, for all the Hong Kong Football Club kids and staff, et cetera, that are watching, Sam Piper, he's actually an athlete that is now with your program. Another Hong Kong athlete, Marco Wong, who's a Hong Kong youth national team player. He actually was recruited to a high school in the U.S. The first thing they said when they got off the plane, obviously they were taking the shuttle to school. Immediately they could just see the facilities, and now that they've actually been down to the pitch, they're just obviously quite amazed. And even Marco, being at a U.S. high school, that transition, he's basically just noticed the facilities immediately. So,
good.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
To also acknowledge, obviously, with Coach Devin, he has another Hong Kong Football Club player, Derek, a goalie, right? So, has he stepped foot on campus yet? I know he was.
No, he's in Toronto right now. Okay. So we're going to online classes next fall, this upcoming fall. So he isn't on campus.
Yeah, good to hear. Actually, I actually love asking this question, only because I've had an amazing experience being a student athlete. But for you, Coach Devin, because you've coached at all these different type of college programs from Division I all the way to Division III, what would you say is one of the biggest benefits of being a student athlete?
There's a couple. I'll just say there's a couple. One is you learn to work within a team, and you have successes and failures within a team. I think that can't be undersold, because you go on to work in the world, and that's ultimately what you're doing. Typically, is you're working within a team, and you got to learn to cooperate among coworkers. The biggest, probably what you just kind of touched upon, the benefit is it is extremely fun to play college soccer. It is extremely, extremely fun. You're going to have lifelong friends, and there's nothing like going to school, walking around campus, people knowing that you're a member of the soccer team, playing for your school, playing under lights, playing against your rival. There's just not too many things in this life that are better than that. It's 4 years that go by really fast, and it's going to be some of the best times of your life. I promise you, wherever you go, hopefully you get an opportunity to play college soccer. It's just an incredible experience, and it's the best of everything, because you will still have opportunities to go play pro, just like Coach Mosher said, and you're getting a degree, so you're going to be set up for the rest of your life if you're, with whatever job not whatever job you want, but you're going to be set up for the rest of your life. So it's just it's a tremendous opportunity, and it's just extremely fun.
Yeah, it's funny how you say that because I still remember when Facebook first came out. That was when I had when I first entered campus. We had preseason. It was so tough, and then we had our first game, and that's when obviously when you have preseason, you go there 1 month before school starts, right? And then when we had our first game, I didn't know anyone. I just knew my 25 other brothers and all the coaches. After the game, I had like over 75 people adding me on Facebook. When Facebook first came out, I was like so shocked at how this community of people really are involved in the student athlete life, how they're really wanting to watch you guys play and build a relationship with you guys. So I think that was really amazing, at least for me when I was there. But I'm pretty sure right now, 75 Facebook Live is probably equivalent to 1,000 Instagram followers, or I don't even know what that would be.
Yeah, I can't comment on that. I don't know that word, but, you're probably right.
I think Devin brings up a really good point. The value that you get of being a college athlete. I believe it was USA Today, a great article that I believe it's only 8 to 9% of kids that play sport in high school actually filters down, get to play in college. But ironically, it was close to 90% of CEOs from Fortune 500 companies played a college sport. Yeah. And the gist of the article was in such a competitive world, coming out with your degree, the fact that you've played a college sport and what goes into that and the time and all the skills that you're developing in there, as Devin had said, how marketable, and that gives you a leg up. And that was the gist of the article. And the value is huge for your career going forward. It's something that can help be a separator for you when you actually do leave campus.
Yeah.
I think, Mike, just to pick up on that, I mentioned, what's your X factor as a player? It becomes the same thing as you graduate and you leave and you've got all these students with degrees. The fact that you've been a college athlete can be an X factor. It can be a separator, because you've gone through such a different university experience to many other students that don't play college sports. You've been able to manage the training load and the time that you dedicate to that, and complete your degree and get good grades and so forth. So just a very different college experience versus the regular student, and that's the beauty of college sport, or even for some, if they don't make it to college, high school sport. That band of brothers that Magnus was relating to. You are part of a team. We've just started training recently here, even though there's no season. But we had some players come in from different parts of the country. They've never met our group. We had like 26 guys on the field last night, but automatically, these boys come in and they're welcomed immediately, and you've got friends and you've got connections on the front end as you come in as a first-year freshman, but also you're going to have connections and opportunities as a result of being a student athlete as you leave, and those opportunities for job opportunities and connections and so forth.
Yeah. So from what I hear, obviously with the families from Asia, it is quite daunting for them, obviously with the culture piece, going to say North America, not knowing anyone, for entering campus and just finding friends. Like for example, I did my master's at Hong Kong University, and as a master's after experiencing being a college athlete, I go into the cafeteria, I sit down, no one knows who I am, I don't know anyone. It was a complete shock for me. Imagine people from Asia that are younger moving to North America and having that same kind of impact. But the difference for a student athlete is that you're going to have your brothers. You're probably be friends with the women's soccer team, the tennis team, the basketball team, and again, you have that instant connection. I think that helps, at least from the parent perspective, knowing that they're not just going to find another. If I'm Thai, I'm just going to find another Thailand student or another Hong Kong student or another Philippine student. So it's a different kind of dynamic, right?
Absolutely. And, I think for us, and that's part of the reason that we've started to engage having a second team and a third team, not just in terms of, the development structure, but it enhances the overall student experience, on-campus experience. And the game's played all around the world and more countries than probably any other sport, and unites people and countries in such a terrific way.
Yeah, amazing, life-changing experience. That's all I can say about being a student athlete.
Magnus and I were actually talking about something earlier. Jurgen Klopp, for all those out there who don't know who Jurgen Klopp is, he's the Liverpool coach. He actually went to Notre Dame when he was coaching at Dortmund, and he actually had mentioned that the facilities at Notre Dame were almost better than what they were at Dortmund, of course. And Notre Dame being a top, say Division I program, of course, facilities all very similar to yours, I'm sure. Would you compare your facilities and just everything that the university offers, not just athletically, but then you're talking about, Mike Toshak, you mentioned, St. Lawrence University is third in, say, alumni engagement. And then you're talking about University of British Columbia with everything you offer, Caltech, with the STEM sort of background, all the people that come and visit the campus, have seminars, talks, obviously, and then everything else, like I had mentioned, athletically. Would you say that both of those pieces between academics and athletics, that it is a professional environment and similar, obviously, with what Jurgen Klopp had mentioned?
Who do you want to take this?
All three of you can touch on it. Mike Mosher will go first.
Sure. We get guys that come from the Whitecaps environment. Some of them, they come out of the academy, but we've also, when they had a USL team, we've got guys in our group that played USL. It's a relatively seamless transition, in terms of the facilities, the training environment, training 4 or 5 days a week, so forth. A lot of them have said, geez, I thought this was going to be, a lot easier and sort of softer. And it was very much the same from an athletic standpoint. Okay. And all the opportunities that go within the program, the medical support, physio support, academic supports, tutoring, and so forth. And I guess that's where we would differ from a real professional soccer setting is our emphasis upon the academic side. We're trying to prepare you, for the big picture and what really, for the majority of student athletes once they graduate, that's the professional world, and what their occupation is going to be lifelong. A small percentage do get professional opportunities, but so again, I go back to, we offer the best of all worlds, the best of both worlds, in a top quality environment, both on the field and what's offered athletically and academic supports.
It's actually quite significant. And Magnus and I are always talking to athletes in Asia, whether it's at their team, during a game or training session, student athlete. I think they think we're crazy when we're talking about being a student athlete, not just a student, not just an athlete, but both combined. So obviously the student athlete piece, for the athletes out there, it's not just coming from ourselves and parents and whoever else. The head coaches themselves are saying that this is a professional environment between athletics and academics. And for those that are able to obviously become a professional player, great. But for, I don't know what the actual statistic is, less than 1% of NCAA players maybe, becoming a professional athlete. So, focusing on the academic piece as well is obviously important. So, Devin, I don't know what your thoughts are on all of that, of course.
Yes, definitely. I've actually spent 2 years in Spain, and facilities at the universities are incredible. And I always kind of joke with my players afterwards, because during their 4 years at the university, they have access to basically a personal trainer, a nutritionist, world-class facilities. And they will never have that opportunity again unless they do go play pro. And in some pro situations, they won't have the facilities that they have at universities for the most part, depending on where you go. But, we have nutritionists, athletic trainers, personal trainers for strength and conditioning. Never in the rest of their life will they have access to that, and not to mention just the food. The food. These universities, they have sushi bars. They have everything. It's really incredible. It's really amazing. So it's certainly a professional environment with the knowledge of that you're there for academics. So balancing that out can be tricky for first years, I would say. But once you kind of get that balance, again, it's just you have access to the academic facilities, research, athletic facilities, and these university coaches really, for the most part that I've come across, have take a great deal of pride in trying to make their student athletes better with film, breakdown of film, heart rate monitors, all those things. So it's, again, playing college soccer at almost I would say 90% of the universities, Division I, II, III, and NCAA is really an amazing experience.
So what I got from that as well is that student athletes are likely eating better than we are right now. So a good experience overall.
Yeah, they could also be eating worse because they have just many dessert options as well. So you got to kind of have to coach them through that.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, Mike Toshak, touching on this again for those that have maybe joined in late, director of goalkeeping at the Vancouver Whitecaps. You've been at Toronto FC, you've been at Houston, you've been in the MLS and the professional environment. How do you compare the environments firsthand? I know we even were talking on the phone a while back about Ashton Morgan. He was at the Toronto FC. Him and I actually were both the same age. We were actually at the academy first together. The difference was he wanted to pursue only, professional soccer, where I sat back and said, maybe I can pursue a combination of both, and there's at Real Salt Lake. But just your background, how do you compare? What is the environment like, and what are any of the differences, if you will?
Well, I think a big thing, and to speak to the young players in Asia here, to know about the uniqueness of university sport in North America, both in Canada and in the US and the NCAA where we are. It's quite unique in that you can feel like you're a professional player. We've talked a lot about the facilities. That's a check mark right away. Also, you travel, nice buses, stay in good hotels. You're very much living that environment like a professional player. And I would liken it to, and the way we try and set it up and run it, and everything we do is like you're an under 21 player on an under 21 team at a Premier League club. So when you're coming from another environment, from high school and club, and now you've gone to college and university, it's quite unique in Canada and the United States in that you feel like you're very much in a professional environment and how you train, the facilities. You touched on the nutrition, which is huge. The sports medicine side of it is a great experience. So maybe if you don't go on and play at the professional level, you're going to feel like for 4 years that you have been at a really high level and you've had a taste of what's that like. And Coach Mosier said too that it's a pretty good transition for those players who do go on because they've been in a similar type environment. But it is unique, North American university sport and being a student athlete. And it's quite an amazing experience.
And I think just with all three of your environments, really the university sport life and the experience that goes along with it, the academic piece, it essentially crafts the foundation for the rest of your life. Obviously, if you're able to pursue being a professional, great. If not, applying for a job, what differentiates yourself from other athletes? Well, I already lived a professional life, essentially being a student athlete, of course. So I think we all know the uniqueness of this. So thanks for that, guys.
One of the audience are asking Coach Mike Toshak is that, they know that right now you're still training. Obviously, UBC, you guys are still training right now as well. Like, how are you guys coping with the whole COVID thing? Obviously not everyone gets to train with a team right now. But for your cases, how do you guys adapt? What are you guys doing differently? How are you guys monitoring the health side of your training process?
We've been really lucky, and I'm touching wood here that things go well. St. Lawrence put together a really good plan. Actually, we had we were mentioned by name on CNN the other day as a school in the Northeast that has a good plan. And again, we're in the middle of that plan, and we're hoping it works. So with extensive testing before the students came, and then immediately when they arrived on campus, and then quarantine until they got the results. And now we're into our second round of testing, and it's been excellent. Almost 3,000 people were tested, and there were only 2 positive cases, and because they were in quarantine, it was taken care of. So that's led the way now for us to be able to go forward and to start to train. Officially, we're hoping next Wednesday, September 9th, will be our official training, but the players have been able to get together in small groups of 6 to 8 themselves to do some work and to prepare for that. So we're excited about starting officially on September 9th, where we'll work in groups of 10 or 11 for 2 weeks per NCAA guidelines for back to play with COVID. And then after those 2 weeks, we'll be back in full on with the entire team being able to train together. And we're excited about that. And, we feel that, hopefully we can keep it going, that we're in a good position to make that happen.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, obviously health-wise is always important. I know you touched up on earlier about the whole recruiting process, about people sending emails, game films, highlight videos, sending you the academics. Obviously, ideally, they want to consolidate all that and then send it to you guys and reach out. Obviously, if you guys look at the emails. But with COVID, I think more so this year specifically for the 2021 class, anything you guys are going to do differently in terms of recruiting, Coach Mike Toshak?
We talked about it a little bit earlier, and you're not able to get to as many in-person events where there's nothing like seeing a player live and seeing how they react, not just during the game, but how are they when they hang around their teammates after. You get a really good idea of what the player's like, what's their personality like, how do they mix with their teammates. So that's difficult to do from assessing technical qualities and things like that. Yeah, you can do that from film and you can see that. And again, Mike used a good term, the sample size. So wanting to see as many full matches as you can, and we're trying to get an idea and a picture of the player. Big things that can stick out for you is also you're looking now, how are they when the ball turns over? How hard do they work defensively? If they score a goal or a teammate scores a goal, are they over there celebrating? Are they enthusiastic? How are they when they get subbed off the field? What's the reaction when a call goes the other way? All these things are very, very huge now, trying to get that from video when you're trying to get a picture of a player and see all the different boxes to tick. And again, that's why it's good if you're involved with a recruiting agency that's trusted like Sportsync, where I know we have a relationship and we have players on our team from there, so people that you can trust can also give you a good picture. But very much so, you're relying on different types of things to try and get a picture of the student athlete that you're going to bring on board. So it's challenging.
Yeah, I think the whole character piece is something you won't see on a highlight video, right? I think highlight video is just the best pieces, the assets of what you have. So to kind of sum your answer up, a highlight video, more than one game full video.
Yeah, please.
Obviously the whole academic piece. Ideally, obviously having a referral is also key as well, right? Whether it be coaches or another trusted contact, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that was one of the key questions a lot of the viewers are asking right now. Okay. So Constantine, what do you?
Yeah, one of my last questions anyway is I know a lot of the athletes are definitely going to be excited, and they're going to say, okay, this is great. what do I do from here? How do I even get there? And obviously that's an application. We all know that. You have to apply to the school. There's different forms of application deadlines, et cetera. And a lot of the athletes that are watching today, their schools, they have counselors. Counselors are trying to give feedback. And to be fair, the athletic recruitment piece is slightly different. Maybe not for every school, obviously on this call, of course, but are you guys able to monitor, support applications? At the very least, can you provide an academic pre-read? And like I said, I know it's going to vary, these answers here, based on your institutions, but Mike Mosher, maybe you can give some feedback on that first.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we have a good relationship with our admissions office, and as applications are coming in and even someone can send me a transcript, a high school transcript directly, I'll take it to my contacts within our athletic department, then they'll then take it on to their contacts in admissions, so we can get some quicker feedback and monitoring of where things are at. What's the likelihood, perhaps, how's it looking? So we are certainly involved. I'm involved with applications that come in.
Sure. I know that these are slightly, sensitive questions, of course. And I know when I was dealing with a female swimmer, actually at the University of British Columbia, recruiting her there, and she had a very strong, academic profile. And I know that there's actually specific scholarships in place for those in sort of like the top percentile at UBC. Is that correct to an extent, of course?
Yeah, I mean, there are some funds available for top student athletes coming in internationally. We have a very large population of international students coming in from all over the world, so you can imagine the competition is quite strong, both academically, but also we've got a couple that are designated for student athletes, but the GPA to achieve that needs to be quite high. We actually, and we as coaches don't really have any say in that. That's strictly based upon their academics, their personal profile. What else do they bring to the table? And then, we can say, hey, we really like this athlete. We can push a little bit that way, but really the determination is their academic profile. We had a player coming in this year for 2020. It's the first time we've had an individual get an international student scholarship. He's a goalkeeper from Sweden, and he'll hopefully be with us either in January or for next fall. But he's taking his courses online. He's actually in Germany playing with a professional team in a setup there right now. He'll take his courses, and then we'll see where things go for January, or if he doesn't come in January, then come in for next year. But that was, finally we got an international that realized a top scholarship coming in.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. And I mean, for Devin, I know you already alluded to this earlier. There's not much that you can do at Caltech, of course. And I mean, from my experience, and Derek King, who's out there and he's listening today, obviously he's, coming to Caltech, he's accepted, and navigating the process with him a little bit. Obviously you're new, you're transitioning to the program, to be fair, but the head coach previously, there was some, at least just trying to figure out, okay, where does the application stand? And I think that for an institution like yourself, that's still significant anyway. So I do know that there's not much at Caltech, to be fair.
Yeah, so the process that what happens with us is I get a prospective student athlete's transcripts and all their information, and I take it up to my academic liaison, and she'll tell me he's worth pursuing or maybe not, or he needs to take this class, or he needs to get better grades here. So they can kind of point me in the direction, and then I can write a support letter. But I don't know, I can't do a pre-read, or I won't know the answers until basically the students know whether they get accepted or not. So that's our process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Thanks, Devin. Last one is for Mike Toshak. And Mike, I know that there's maybe you can just jump right into it and touch on it. Of course, obviously we've worked with a few different athletes that are now obviously at St. Lawrence. So, but yeah.
Yeah, we're a need-based aid school. Obviously, when a student athlete reaches out to us that fits the profile, then we have an international director of admissions, Mr. Musa Khalidi, who's been at St. Lawrence for a number of years. It goes on to him. The school knows this is someone that we're very interested in, and they're a good student. So they're going to bring something of value to the school as well, and that they're able to play in our program and represent our school. So and that counts for something. And so as far as once it goes to their hands, as far as from a financial standpoint, they'll work closely with the family and looking at all kinds of different things and different types of bursaries and merit scholarships and things like that that they might qualify for, and be able to help them come to St. Lawrence that way, depending on a number of different factors. So once we pass that on, then it's in the hands of the people in admissions, and it goes from there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely pretty significant just with schools of your competitive background, both academically and athletically. There's definitely a difference. When you're a regular student, you just apply, you just wait basically. So whether it's financially or just in regards to the application, as you guys just mentioned, there's definitely an advantage regardless being a student athlete at some capacity, of course. So
early decision. I don't know if the other guys, we have something that's called early decision, and what that is basically you've decided you want to come, and then early decision goes in, and it increases your chances of getting in, and also your packages tend to be a little bit better because you've made a commitment that you want to come to the school, and you usually get an answer back within 2 weeks what that is, and then you have another 2 weeks whether to decide to take the offer or not, and it's a rolling early decision. There's 6 of them starting November 1st, and basically every 2 weeks
right
from that point, which is a route a lot of people go down, and it's been fairly successful for some people.
Sure. Yeah, I think these questions, and we've told athletes as well that anything academics, and applications, obviously when they fill out an assessment form, they can find out some more information afterwards. So thanks for that feedback, guys.
Okay. Coaches, would you guys say it's fair to say that you guys are currently here at the same time still trying to identify players, especially from Asia as well?
I think we're always looking for players. That's part of our job. It's a big part of our job for recruiting. So we're always looking. Every school, every situation is different, right? You've got three coaches here, where the academic standards are quite high, and thus, our recruiting pool sometimes can be a little bit smaller than some of our competitors. I would say I'm always on the lookout for a good player.
Yeah, I think that was the whole purpose of today, was to bring 3 university coaches from 3 different backgrounds. Obviously, I think with the whole NCAA piece right now, it's a dead period, meaning that university Division I coaches cannot be recruiting actively. But ultimately, it's good to understand that you guys are all 3 are still in the recruiting process, still trying to identify players, whether it be from Asia, North America. I think the viewers today had a better understanding in terms of, okay, what you guys are looking for. So I just want to acknowledge to the viewers and the players and the families is that, yes, these 3 coaches are looking, but there's also thousands of other university coaches that are also looking and trying to recruit as well, from the US, from Canada, the UK, from Hong Kong. Ultimately, like I was saying earlier, our purpose is to acknowledge and let people know there are these pathways, right? There are these student athlete pathways, these sports scholarship pathways. So if you're interested, again, to be recruited or be identified by these 3 coaches or from the sports scholarship pathway, I just want to let you guys know we have this free student athlete assessment, basically to look at your grades, to look at your videos, your full game videos, your highlight videos. And for the ones in Thailand, we're going to arrange a game that you guys can just play physically. I know in Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Philippines, everything is still pretty much closed. But I think we need to adapt and still make the most of this situation. Okay, coaches, it's a wrap for us today. I think I just want to thank you guys just for all your insights. It's extremely helpful. Again, I think there's a lot more questions that we couldn't touch base on today. But I want to acknowledge to the people listening in and watching in today that they can ask. We'll put the contact information. They can reach out. Yes, so again, our QR code's on the top. Please scan it if you want to get a free assessment. Coaches, thank you very much. It's been inspirational. You guys have an amazing weekend. Hopefully you guys stay safe and look to continue to build this relationship. And actually, I hope to have you in Asia soon.
Yes, it'd be great. Thank you.
Thanks very much, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Yeah. Coaches, good to see you.
Okay.
Great seeing you again, Mike.
You too,
Devin, good
Tosh.
to meet you. Yeah, all the best.
Okay.